What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are in a 1995 Acura Integra GSR. This is a bit of a special car. This one is extraordinarily nice, which you never see anymore. Last year we drove an Integra Type R and a replica Integra Type R. This is the GSR, which is a little more sort of street-oriented, a little less sharp, a little more user-friendly for everyday use. Like the Integra Type R, this has a 1.8 liter B18 four-cylinder engine, making about 170 horsepower at 6,000 or 7,000 RPM and 128 pound-feet of torque at probably about the same. Of course, this is a VTEC engine, and this is sort of the everyday man's Integra. If you wanted a nice car, this is what you bought. A lot of these had leather seats and a leather steering wheel. This one actually does not, which is kind of rare for these, but it is beautiful. Love this thing. 5-speed manual transmission, as every Honda should have. Feels amazing. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and go for a drive. All right, so the Acura Integra GSR. So far, I am loving the way this thing drives. 90s Hondas are always amazing, no matter which one. I mean, everything from even a base model, no tachometer, Civic, DX or CX, whatever the base model trim was, all the way up to the NSX. They're all amazing, but this is sort of the everyday man, I would say luxury Honda. When these were new, they were about the same price as the Integra Type R. Maybe a little bit less, I'd have to check, I can't remember. Maybe they're a little more, somewhere in there, maybe depending on options. But this was a lot more approachable for most people because it wasn't as sharp as an Integra Type R. It didn't have the racing engine that revs super high. It didn't have that same level of harshness. I can already tell you immediately being in this thing, there's a fair amount less wind noise. I mean, this alone, this is a feature most people wanted in their expensive luxury cars. And you still got the same engine, minus, I think camshafts and some other head work that was different on the Type R to get that extra 20 horsepower and extra 1,000 RPM. So we'll talk about some initial driver inputs. First of all, the shifter is absolutely fantastic. This, honestly, I'd even say feels better than the Type R shifter we felt. And I love this grab handle shift knob. It's so classic 90s, just like, ugh, I love it. The steering feel is great. I mean, the Integra chassis from this era is just awesome. Gas pedal's a little touchy there. Still kind of getting used to it. Hondas have a very, very touchy throttle pedal from this era. It's very light, but it has this amazing level of feedback. The brake pedal feels awesome. I mean, you tap it, it's just right on point. The owner redid the brakes on this thing, and it feels so dialed in. Which is funny, too, because the rotors are tiny, tiny little rotors. This car also isn't very heavy. It doesn't feel heavy, it feels very light on its feet. We'll say there's some of that classic 90s dead on center in the steering, and it is a little more numb than the Type R, but of course we're comparing the street version to the race car version. I mean, that's what the Type R was. It was a homologation thoroughbred, racing car. Feels great. I also love how short the gearing is. It's been a minute since we drove an Integra, and they're just so zippy. And unlike that Civic in front of us with its measly 1.6 liter engine, this has quite a bit more low-end torque. Although, of course, none of these B-series engines compared to the Ks that came in the 2000s Hondas, which, from a technological standpoint, did kind of blow these out of the water a little bit. VTEC, love it. So the VTEC kickover in this, and the overall induction noise, considerably quieter than in the Integra Type R. So the Integra Type R, I said, this might be a very controversial hot take, but I said that I would not modify an Integra Type R. Maybe tires or, maybe something to that effect, but I wouldn't really modify it because I thought it was perfect out of the box. This, I would now maybe modify to feel more like an Integra Type R if I were looking for just a pure thoroughbred sports car experience for my weekend toy. This sort of has more of that 90s classic, a little bit dead on center. It's, oh my god, it's still so sharp and responsive though. And the noise especially. So I like a really good induction noise, and a lot of Hondas have great induction noise, especially when you throw cold air intakes on them. Because the Type R has so much less sound deadening than this, the GSR, you get a lot more induction noise out of the stock airbox in that car. But this one, because it has all that extra deadening, I would maybe want, you know, cold air intake or something to that effect. Try not to be too scary to oncoming traffic. Oh. And this thing just rockets out of corners. It's so much torque. The higher RPM. And it gives you so much confidence. Though, over a lot of these bumps, it's still a little bit firm, which of course makes sense. I mean, the Integra is a sport coupe. You know, this is a two-door car after all that was designed to be sort of a sports car. Now, say what you will about front-wheel drive, but front-wheel drive cars still have plenty of sporting characteristics. Oh my God, those brakes, so confidence-inspiring. Got a little bit of tire noise there at that last corner. Man, you push these things to the limit. They just communicate so well to this driver through the steering, through your seat. And it is a little more dead in the Type R, but you know, honestly, I'm gonna finish. I'm not gonna compare this to the Integra Type R anymore, because that's approaching, you know, like the top end, like, you know, this is the best it can be. So I'm not gonna compare it to that, because it's not fair. Comparing this as a car, it just has that great 90s sports car sort of classic feel, and I love it. I love it so much. Give the brakes a little scrub there. We'll say it handles this elevation change really well. Woo. Oh, it's so fun. It's got enough compliance to sort of deaden a lot of what's happening, but it's still stiff enough for the driver to feel like, you know, it's sporting handling characteristics that everyone loves about, you know, the classic 90s Hondas. That was really what made these cars famous. It's so easy to drive. I also love when you're shifting it quickly. It does a lot to help the driver and make the shifts less stiff and less sort of, you know, punishing for little driver errors. You know, a lot of cars, and I've noticed a lot of Hondas too, they're razor sharp in how you sort of, you know, get off the throttle, get back on, your clutch inputs. This, not at all. You know, it has a lot more of that European car sort of luxury and niceness to it, where it deadens a lot of the things that you don't want to feel. Like when tap the throttle. Some people want to feel that instant jolt. And when you're driving around, you know, on roads like this, maybe you kind of want that. When you're driving a car every day, you don't want that. And this does a very good job. Oh no, go away, little squirrel. Thank God he got out of the road. It does a really good job at getting rid of those little minute jolts and sort of unwanted feelings when you're just kind of driving around. Top of the rev range, you get kind of a vibration from the steering wheel and the shifter. The car's letting you know, like, hey, you know, you're at the limit. Time to shift. The rear end's so playful too. You get a lot of that sort of back end step out just momentarily. That is so confidence inspiring. It really gives you that feeling of, oh, I know exactly what the car's doing, you know where it's at. And when you do get the rear end to step out just the tiniest bit, there's a little bit of unsettling, sort of like, oh, okay, I feel the rear end kicking out. But, you know, one of the advantages of front wheel drive is anytime that happens, all you have to do is, you know, get back in the power, and then there you go, you're good. I think the main point I'd like to make with this car is it's the perfect blend of sort of European car luxury and Japanese car driver's feedback. And not a lot of the time cars can kind of blend that gap really well. I personally think the BMW E36 does that really well. A lot of people call it the most JDM of European cars, and I think that it kind of is. And this does it too, where you get a lot of that playfulness of a Japanese car, but it also kind of deadens, you know, a lot of the imperfections in the road. And I think a lot of people that are used to European cars would really enjoy this. And I think if anyone likes Japanese cars, oh my God. Anyone who likes Japanese cars that maybe wants to try something European, you know, this is sort of a good stepping stone if you want to get that, because this has a lot of great things from both worlds. I mean, that shifter vibration, that's a very JDM car thing. You're somebody in Germany, if they felt that in a car, they'd be like, no, this cannot exist. There's my bad German accent for you there, but that's sort of some of that Honda flavor coming through. But a lot of the sort of deadening and the car dampening a lot of what's happening is a very European car characteristic. So about right there is where you can kind of tell the brakes aren't as good as, you know, other cars. I will go back to make the comparison to the Integra Type R. The Integra Type R definitely has better brakes than this. And even other sort of European luxury cars do have brakes that are a little more punchy. But what these do really well is that initial bite and your sort of initial modulation, which is what most people, you know, really care about in this car. And most people aren't tracking this car. Frankly, even the way I'm driving it today is probably considerably out of character for the way most people drove these when they bought them new. Oh man, I will say, compared to some of the later Honda engines, you really do feel that, you know, only 128 pound-feet of torque in this engine down low. Yeah, yeah. The Integra Type R, I feel like you can kind of ride the torque curve a little bit at lower RPM, and especially the K series, like the 2.0 and the 2.4, and the later Hondas. You got to ride that torque curve down low. This, no, you got to really bring it out. This feels very similar to that EM1 in front of us as far as torque goes. But man, I think it is just so cool that Honda made this car in the 90s. I mean, Acura, but I mean, it is a Honda, it's an Integra. You know, I don't need to explain all of that to you viewers. You guys are smarter than that. Badge engineering. They blended what's nice about Japanese cars and what's nice about European cars, sort of put them into one, gave it the Honda flavor, and then sent it out as the Acura Integra GSR. And what a wonderful car it is, and I'm so glad that all these years later, this one has survived, because all of these are all rusted out, you know, driven to 300,000 miles, paint's gone, all that. And this one in red with this kind of rare cloth interior has managed to survive, and it's a beautiful thing. So we finished our test drive of the 1995 Acura Integra GSR, and what an awesome car this is. Our hot take, I would say this is probably one of the most European feeling Japanese sports cars. You get a lot of that Honda character, you know, the vibration in the shifter, the sort of general way it feels, but you get a lot of that deadening and sort of refinement that people like out of European cars. So if you're a Japanese enthusiast or a German enthusiast, I think both sides of those foreign cars would find something to appreciate about this thing. And it really is just an awesome car, even on its own right. If you're interested in buying this very nice low mileage 61,000 mile example, this is for sale. Check out Great Lakes Vintage Honda in the description down below, and I will also link the page to the shop where they sort of restore all these old Hondas. Go check them out. They have a bunch of Hondas. They buy them, restore them, and then resell them. And this is one of those examples, although the owner did tell me he's having a hard time letting go of this, which I can completely understand. But with all that said, let's go ahead and give the Acura Integra GSR a score. The GSR scores here on our list. It virtually ties with the EM1 Civic Si, but scores below the almighty Integra Type R. The Integra GSR and EM1 Si are very comparable cars. Similar price, similar performance, etc. The GSR does get beat out by the Type R. Value is better with the GSR, no doubt, but the Type R delivers that next level driving experience, whereas the GSR is a little more pedestrian. It still shocks me how closely aligned the Acura Integra GSR is with its European car rivals from the same era. Car and Driver compared this to the BMW 318 Ti hatchback of the same year, which showcases who Acura was targeting with this car. 30 years later, I think the GSR holds up as a weekend driver. It's not as sporty as its Integra Type R brother, but it gives you the same balanced, composed, and playful chassis for a fraction of the price. Being a very nice survivor example, this car is for sale for over $20,000, which is a lot of money for the performance. But if you look at the reliability and overall experience this car delivers, it's a fantastic car even at its price point.